I'm Jake, and it's April 11th, and we're out here in back of our pyramid vineyard, on the back block of our pyramid vineyard, and we're going to check in on bud break and the progress of the vines again. It's been pretty warm in the week since I was last out here, and finally you can see a little bit of progress here. This is really mostly up on the hill. Down on the flat, it's still really surprisingly closed up. But you can really see how things are starting to form here. Anyway, yeah, this is really starting to grow and it really looks good. And if you come close, you can see how we have buds here that are growing out of the old spurs, right? Out of the planned spurs, right? 1, 2, 3. And these are all going to turn into vines. This will turn into a vine. This will turn into a vine. This will turn into a vine. 3 vines. But you can also see new stuff. I don't know what they call that. Blind, I guess I'd call it. It just comes right out of the old wood. And it's covered up by this old bark. You can't even see where those things are gonna end up shooting. The same thing is true of this, right? And of these. So we'll save these. We'll probably save this guy here and get rid of one of these spurs. We'll maybe save this guy here and get rid of one of these, so that we don't have these constantly building spurs getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then the other ones that we don't want, you know, maybe it'll turn out, you can see over here, there are 2 new little ones coming out of here. One of these we are not going to want. One of these we will, because this spur is getting too long. You see that? So we're going to want to keep one of these and cut this off. The question is which one, because it's not going to be both. Anyway, I guess we'll come back and check on that as things go on. Let's go over and check out the Chardonnay vineyard. Alright, so this is neat. We're down in the bottom of the stone vineyard here with Makama Creek behind me, or in front of me, and then going back over here to the Russian River. And this stuff has really grown a lot in the last couple of weeks. Or last week. It's the 11th now. Last time we were out here was, well, I don't know, 7 days ago. I don't want to make that mistake on camera. So you can see here, this is really cool. This is these are little bunches of grapes. So not only are there leaves, but there are little bunches of grapes here. And the weather's warm enough. I mean, it was like 85 degrees yesterday, which is pretty unseasonably warm, and it's going to be warm again today. So this stuff's really going to just move right along. And before you know it, see? That right there is a little cluster of buds that's going to end up being, get bigger and end up being a little cluster of flowers, and that cluster of flowers will end up being a bunch of grapes. So I was just saying anyway that, you know, at some point it's like, okay, now the vines have leaves on them, now they have bigger leaves, and these videos are going to start getting boring. But if the weather stays warm like this, you can see them all covered with fuzz here. You see that? That right there is going to turn into that right there. That's that same little cluster of buds. Anyway, if the weather stays warm like this, these things are going to progress really quickly. All right, so here we are down the Petit Verdot at Red Winery Road, and I would say that there is more progress here on this vineyard than there is even in the Chardonnay out on Chalk Hill. Again, this is a Bordeaux variety, and it should be later than the Chardonnay, but this is a little bit of a warmer site. You can see that this stuff is really going. Look at all these leaves here. And it's really heartening to see. I love Petit Verdot as a varietal. We don't bottle it, but this vineyard has made some really delicious Petit Verdot. I still think of it as really young, and I think its best years are in front of it. But one of the things we really have to do is get this vineyard growing vigorously early in the season, and get it established and happy and healthy. One more thing, I think we'll give this whole thing a little bit of a rest and talk about other stuff until we start to actually see these bud clusters form, and until they start to flower. And then we'll come back and start looking at them as they start to flower and talk about bloom and how that works. So I'll see you then. That'll probably be something like a month from now. Bye.